So, yeah, for this exercise, the target is black to move, and how can we get the draw? So this puzzle is related with the key squares when it comes to the king plus pawn endgame. So for a pawn at b4, the pawn is pushing downward. So the key square are these three squares, c6, b6, and a6. So for white, if the king can occupy any of this key square, so white can win with the pawn at b4. So every time when the pawn like push a bit downward, so the key squares will change, and I will show you. I will show you how. So from black's perspective and also from the defender's perspective, so we need to get a draw, and the way to do it is quite straightforward. That is stopping the white king occupying any of this key square. Black to move. So how can we do that? So these three squares. So I think if we move, for example, king to c7, and the white king can go to c5. So this is opposition. It's a term in chess. The white king is opposing the black king, so which means the black king have to give way to the white king. If the king, for example, go to d7, the white king can step in, and this is one of the key square, and white can definitely win. I can show you. So for example, king goes to c8, king goes to a7, and king go up. White pawn can move to b5, and when the pawn is at b5, so these six squares are key squares, and as long as the white king control like any of them, white can definitely win. So like this one. So it's quite self-explanatory that all the three squares that the pawn is going to move step by step is supported by the white king. So white is definitely to have a queen to end win the game. So if the king goes to b7, the black king is still controlling this too, but white king can keep opposing the black king. So this is a very useful technique in endgame when it comes to the king plus pawn endgame. So white king is opposing the black king. So now it's a time black king has to give up one of the key square. So for example, king goes c7, the king can goes to a6. So if the king goes to left, it can go to right. And this is called outflank. Okay, and yes, these three squares are controlled by the white king. And for example, if the king goes to b8, we can push to b5. Our king is still in one of the key squares, and the king goes to a8. We can keep pushing. King go here, b7. Now it's black to move. Only move king c7 and king a7, and white is going to have a queen. So yeah, so how can we get a draw here? So the problem is how can we stop white king occupying any of the square? And the only best move is king b8. It's not straightforward, but when we think about it, so king b8, if king go to c5, we can play king c7. Now black king is opposing the white king. If it goes to b5 and go to b7, so black king is always controlling these three squares. King a5, king a7. Okay, so king b5. Remember, when the pawn reaches to b5, the key square becomes this 6. But at this moment, white king cannot step in any of the square. I can go to king b7. King b8 is wrong because the king can control any of the control b6, one of the key squares. King b7, yes. If the king go back to b4, we can go up. We can always control the key square. b6 here, and king b5 only move to protect pawn. When the pawn reaches b6, so these 6 squares are key squares. Here, opposing the white king. Your king, the white king cannot step in. b7, yes, and this is the draw. This is stalemate. So yeah, king b8, that's the only move black can stop the white king controlling key square. And white actually have a very interesting move. That's a king d5. And how can we deal with that? The king is going to step in king c6. And the only square we can stop king c6 is either king c7 or king b7. And you can pause the video to think about which is the best move, or is there any like does it matter if we play either the move? So actually, the only best move is king b7, not king c7, because if king c7, king c5, it's the same thing we saw earlier, and the white king is posing the black king, so the king can step in any of the key square. So when we play king b7, this is actually another way, a diagonal a position. So we are opposing the white king. If the king goes c5, we can play king c7, and we can have a draw. So if the king goes down to d6, we can go up. Actually, we can capture the pawn very easily. So yeah, so this is the solution of this puzzle, and the very important learning is to control the key square.